Alright, welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to be talking about another important setting that you need to input in your camera when you're shooting your videos, and that is aperture. So we've learned about resolution, we've learned about frame rate, we've learned about shutter speed. Now is the time for aperture. So first of all, what is aperture? Well, aperture is this hole in the lens that you're seeing right now in this image on the right. So this hole is what is called as your aperture, and this is in complete control of the videographer. So you can change this, the size of this hole by changing the number with the F. So when you're shooting in the manual mode, you must be knowing this already, that you can change this number. This number is called as the f-stop number, or also called as aperture. So when you change this number, what happens is you're basically actually changing the size of the hole. So it has an inverse relationship, that is that as you increase the f-stop number, the hole becomes smaller, and when the f-stop number is small, the hole is wide open. And what this does is it has basically two types of impacts on our images or on our videos. So when you say images, it just applies to videos also. So what does aperture do? First of all, it controls the amount of light coming in the area, in your camera, because of course the light comes through this hole, and we can see that we already know that we can open and close this hole by changing the f-stop number. But we're going to be talking about this slightly later on, because this is not that important right now. We'll come back to this later on. Right now, what is important to us is what does aperture exactly do in our video? Like, how does it change the look of our video? So that has something to do with depth of field, which just means how much area is in focus. This should be depth of field, by the way, not file. I've just made a typo here. So depth of field just means how much area is in focus, and the best way to teach you depth of field is to just show you some images. So what happens is when you're shooting anything, and if you're using a small f-stop number, for example, in this image, I'm using f3.5 and I've taken this shot. What's going to happen is that wherever you focus, that thing will of course come out sharp, but anything else will become blurred. That is, it will go out of focus. So basically at a small f-stop number like f3.5, not many things will be in focus. Only the part where you place your focus point will be in focus. Rest of the things will be out of focus and will become blurred. That's how you get your blurred backgrounds when you're looking at a video in which the subject is, let's say, a person is talking and the background behind them is blurred, right? That comes when we use small f-stop numbers, and soon we're just about to look at two videos also, so you'll understand this in a better way. But let's see what happens when in the same shot, when I go from f3.5 to f8, and you can see the moment I do that, just look at the books behind. They've slightly become much sharper, because what happens is when you increase the f-stop number, you're actually increasing the amount of area in focus in the scene. So just to compare it again, you can see at f3.5, very less area is in focus, only the area around Batman, because that's where we focused. The rest of it is out of focus and blurred. But at f8, we're kind of stretching this focus area and it's reaching the books. And if I show you a shot at f22, like a really big f-stop number, you can see that everything is sharp. So if you're shooting a video, for example, on f22, and if a person is talking in the front, even the background will be sharp, even the person that you're talking, who's standing ahead will also be sharp. So this type of a look, for example, in photography, when we're shooting landscapes, in landscape shots, you need everything sharp from front to back. So we usually shoot those at higher f-stop numbers like f13, f16, f22. And when we are shooting portraits, for example, we want the background to be blurred, so we normally shoot it at smaller f-stop numbers, right? So this is what depth of field is. This is just how much amount of area is in focus. And when you have a small area in focus in which the background goes blur like this at a small f-stop number, that is referred to as shallow depth of field. And when you have something like this where everything is in focus, that is called as deep depth of field. That is, everything is in focus. So just to show you again, small f-stop number, only subject in focus. That means your background will become blur at a smaller f-stop number like f1.8, f2.8, f3.5, and large f-stop number, everything will be in focus like f8, f11, f13, f16. So you can choose your f-stop number depending on the type of the look that you're going for. This kind of look is more popular, where people want to blur something in the background because it just looks very nice and professional. So that is just done by using small f-stop numbers like these, like we're just about to see. We'll be looking at two different videos shot at two different f-stop numbers, and you'll see how it changes the look and feel of that video. So first of all, before we discuss anything else, let's take a look at these two videos which are shot at two different f-stop numbers, and then we'll come back. Alright, so this video that you're looking at right now is being shot at f2.8. So this is a small f-stop number, and you can immediately see that the background behind me is very nicely blurred, and I am just being isolated from the background because the focus is restricted to me. So that's what happens at a small f-stop number, because you get a shallow depth of field, and this type of a look is very, very popular. You'll often find this in videos that whoever the subject is, that subject is in focus and the background is blurred, and this is happening because of your aperture or your f-stop number when you make the f-stop number small, like f2.8 in this case. Now let's look at a video in which we'll go to f22. Alright, so this video is being shot at f22, and immediately you can see the background behind me appears much sharper. The trees behind me, the plants behind me are in focus, and that's because we're using a large f-stop number like f22 here, which ensures that we get a deeper depth of field. That means everything is in focus, right? So you can see the different look and feel we can get just by changing our f-stop number. Alright, so I hope that looking at these two videos explained to you how Aperture changes the look and feel of your video, and you can see how important that is. It's a very, very important setting. And another thing that Aperture does is that it controls the amount of light coming in your camera. So we already have learned that changing the f-stop number, you know, opens up the aperture or closes down the aperture. So of course, let's say if you're using something like f22, then also along with everything being sharp and in focus in your shot, it's also going to cut down a lot of light coming in your camera. And this is very important to know, not right now, but later on when we will be talking about exposure and how different settings like aperture, ISO and shutter speed work together. That time we will be revisiting this part, because this will be important. Because what happens is when you cut down so much light coming in the camera, you have to find other ways to increase the light so that you get a video that is of proper brightness. And in the opposite way, if you're using a small f-stop number like this, then a lot of light comes in the camera, which is a good thing, as you will learn later on when you learn about ISO and exposure. So another thing that I would just like to tell you is that because of the f-stop number, not all lenses all lenses basically have a different minimum f-stop number that they can go to. This is also something that you should know. So the slightly better lenses, the slightly more expensive lenses, they go to much smaller f-stop numbers like these, f2.8, f1.8, f1.4, and so they blur the background much more, and therefore they're slightly more expensive. And your kit lens, for example, you know, it stays from, let's say, you can go down to f3.5, and it usually won't go down below f3.5, so it won't, you know, blur the background that much. But this is something that we will talk about later on. Right now you don't have to worry about this. This is something that we'll touch later on when we talk about lenses and which lenses should you be getting to shoot your videos for different purpose. So right now, only thing you have to take away from this video is that when you use a small f-stop number, your background is blurred, and when you use a higher f-stop number, everything is in focus. If you just understood that, like the two videos that you saw, we're good to go on to the next video. So I'll see you there. Bye for now.